The first time she saw him, the wind tore through the darkened forest like a warning. Leora's heart pounded in her chest, not from fear, but from something older, sharper, impossible to ignore. The Alpha King stood at the edge of the clearing, tall, broad, shouldered, every movement measured, every gaze sharp enough to cut through steel. His silver eyes found hers across the distance, and for a heartbeat the world fell silent. She had spent years hiding who she was, burying her scent, her heat, the fire that had the power to destroy or enthrall any alpha who drew near. Every precaution she had taken, every suppressing herb, every ritual, seemed meaningless now. He smelled her. Not fully, not yet, but enough. Enough for instinct to stir. Enough for the predator inside him to awaken. And he didn't move away. He didn't look away. He simply waited, the air between them heavy with unspoken danger. A promise that the moment she faltered, everything would change. Leora pressed her back against a tree, trying to vanish into shadow, but the Alpha King didn't just see her, he felt her. And in that instant, she knew hiding from him was no longer an option. The storm had arrived, and it was only just beginning. The scent she buried the night the Alpha King returned. The moon rose like a wound reopened. Leora felt it before the horns sounded, felt it in the prickle beneath her skin, in the ache she had learned to cage. Heat her heat, she pressed a vial against her throat. Glass cold, herbs bitter. Suppress, breathe. Hide. For 3 years she had mastered this ritual, masking her scent until it was nothing more than a whisper of rain and ash. The palace of Blackridge stirred as Kale Stormborn crossed its gates, Alpha King, conqueror, the wolf whose presence bent spines and broke oaths. Torches bowed to him, warriors fell silent, and somewhere deep inside Leora, the lock she had forged rattled. She kept her head down in the kitchens, hands steady as she plated the feast. Servant, that was the safety of it, no one looked twice. Except him, Kale halted mid-stride, his eyes silvered, sharp, cut through the hall like blades. The world tilted as a scent brushed him. Not heat, not fully, a ghost of it, impossible, his jaw clenched. Stop, he said, voice low thunder. Leora's pulse thundered back. Don't look, don't run. But when his gaze found her, the herbs failed. Just a crack, enough. The Alpha's control snapped taut, instincts roaring awake. He took one step closer, then another, fighting himself as much as fate. Who are you? He demanded softly, dangerously. She met his eyes at last. No one. She whispered. The moon climbed higher. The bond stirred, and somewhere between duty and desire, the Alpha King began to lose control. The Alpha's restraint Kale should have turned away. That was the law he had written into his bones long before he wore the crown. Never touch what you cannot claim. Never claim what you cannot protect. Yet his wolf paced beneath his skin, claws scraping, nose lifted toward her like the world had narrowed to a single fragile heartbeat. She smelled wrong. Not wrong as in false. Wrong as in asterisk, unfinished asterisk. Like a storm sealed inside glass. Step back, Kale ordered, though the command was meant for himself as much as for her. Leora obeyed instantly, lowering her gaze, retreating with the practiced grace of someone used to vanishing. Servants scattered, sensing danger. The hall breathed again, but Kale couldn't. His chest felt tight, his control stretched thin as wire. Find out who she is, he growled to his beta once the feast resumed, quietly. That night the moon was merciless. Leora locked her door and pressed her back against the wood, sliding down until the floor caught her weight. Her hands shook as she reached for another vial, empty of course it was. She laughed once, breathless and bitter. 3 years of hiding, 3 years of silence, and he had still felt her. Across the palace, Kale prowled his chambers, unable to rest. He ripped open windows, letting cold air bite his skin, but it did nothing to cool the heat coiling in his blood. Her eyes haunted him, not pleading, not seductive, afraid. That was what shattered him most. By dawn, the truth arrived like a blade to the ribs. She's an unmated Omega. His beta said carefully, no pack marks, no records. She came with the southern refugees. Kale closed his eyes. An Omega hiding her heat inside his walls during the full moon cycle. Fate was cruel and curious. Bring her to me, he said. When guards arrived at the kitchens, Leora knew running was useless. She followed them through torchlit corridors, every step echoing like a countdown. The throne room doors opened. Cale waited alone. The moment she crossed the threshold, his control slipped. Not shattered, but strained. The bond tugged again, harder this time, unmistakable. "You're hiding," he said quietly. She lifted her chin. "I have to. From me. From everyone." The moonlight spilled through the high windows, silvering them both. Alpha and Omega, king and servant, predator and secret, and for the first time in his life, Cale Stormborn chose restraint over instinct. "You'll stay close," he said, "under my protection." Leora's heart skipped. Protection from an alpha was dangerous. Protection from him was impossible. The secret between them, Leora moved into the east wing before sunset. Not a cell, not luxury either. A quiet suite with stone walls that held warmth and windows that caught the moon just right. Cale told himself it was precaution, easier to guard her, easier to keep his wolf in check. The lie tasted thin. He assigned no guards inside. "She stays because I say so." He warned the palace. Rumors bloomed anyway, curling through corridors like smoke. In Omega, close to the king, Leora felt every whisper, every stare. She kept her head down, brewed stronger suppressants, counted hours. The heat pressed harder now, angry at confinement, angry at him. Each time Cale passed, the bond thrummed, a quiet drumbeat under her ribs. He tried to avoid her, he failed. They met in the library, dusk bleeding into night. Cale reached for a scroll, Leora did the same. Their fingers brushed, the world went white. Her scent flared just a breath, just a crack, and Cale's control buckled. His eyes flashed molten silver, a growl tearing from his chest before he could stop it. He spun away, gripping the table until wood creaked. "Leave," he rasped. "Leora didn't. You're hurting," she said softly. "I'm an alpha," he snapped. "I survive." She stepped closer. "Too close. You're fighting fate." The words landed like a challenge, like a plea. Cale turned, towering, breath ragged. "You don't know what you're asking." "I do," she whispered. "That's why I hid." He froze from me. "From bonding," she said. "My heat isn't normal. It overwhelms alphas. It breaks them. My last pack," her voice caught. "They tried to claim me anyway." The silence that followed was heavy with restrained violence. Cale cupped her face without thinking, thumb brushing her cheek. The bond roared, his wolf surged. For a heartbeat, the Alpha King stood on the edge of losing everything. He forced his hand away. "No one will touch you without your consent, not even me." Leora's eyes shone, unshed tears catching the light. Gratitude and desire tangled painfully in her chest. Outside, thunder rolled. The storm was coming. And with it, her heat. When the heat breaks, the storm arrived with the full moon. Thunder cracked the sky open, rain slashing against the palace walls like claws. Leora woke gasping, sheets twisted around her legs, every nerve aflame. No suppressants left, no hiding left. Her heat had begun. She pressed a pillow to her mouth to smother the sound, but the scent betrayed her anyway, wild, sweet, devastating. It poured through stone and shadow, through corridors and locked doors, straight to him. Cale jerked upright in his bed, a snarl ripping free before thought caught up. The bond detonated, no longer a whisper but a scream. His wolf slammed against his control, demanding mine. "No," he growled to the empty room, hands shaking. "Not like this." He didn't make it 3 steps before he was running. Doors flew open, guards scattered. The Alpha King moved like a force of nature, rain and moonlight chasing him down the east wing. He stopped outside her door, chest heaving, forehead pressed to the wood. "Leora," he said hoarsely. "Open the door." Inside, she trembled, heat cresting painfully. "Don't," she cried. "If you come in, you won't stop." "I will," he swore. "I choose you, not instinct." The lock clicked. The moment the door opened, scent and bond slammed into him. Cale dropped to one knee, claws biting into stone, eyes blazing silver. Leora backed away, tears streaking her face. "I didn't want this," she whispered. He forced himself to breathe, slow and deep, grounding himself in her voice instead of her scent. "Look at me," he said. "Tell me what you need." Her knees buckled. He caught her before she fell. hands gentle despite the power coiled in him. She burned in his arms, a star collapsing. Stay, she begged. Just stay. So he did. He sat with her through the worst of it, holding her while his wolf howled, whispering her name like a prayer, refusing the claim his instincts demanded. Night stretched, cruel and endless. The storm passed. Dawn bled in pale and quiet. When her heat finally eased, Leora slept against his chest, safe. Cale stared at the ceiling, spent and shaking. He had not lost control, but he had lost his heart. The claim he refused mourning found them tangled in silence. Leora woke first, warm and weightless, her cheek resting against a steady, unfamiliar rhythm, a heartbeat. Strong, careful, she froze, then slowly lifted her head. Cale lay beneath her, eyes open, silver dulled to steel gray, jaw shadowed with sleepless restraint. His arm was draped around her. Not possessive, not claiming. Protective. You stayed. She whispered. I said I would. A memory rushed back in a heated blur. The moon, the storm, his hands steady when everything else broke. Shame flickered through her. I'm sorry. He frowned for trusting me, for wanting you, she said. Something raw crossed his face. Cale shifted, carefully creating space between them, as if distance were a shield he could still raise. Your heat ended hours ago. If you want to leave, I'll have you escorted. I don't. She cut in. The word echoed. Leora sat up, pulling the blanket around herself. Every alpha I've met saw my heat as permission, as ownership. You didn't. I wanted to. He admitted quietly. That's the truth. I won't insult you by hiding. Her breath caught. Then why didn't you? Because a bond born from loss of control is a prison, he said. And I would rather lose you than cage you. Silence pressed in, heavy with everything unsaid. A knock broke it. His beta's voice, tense. My king. The council knows. Of course they did. By midday, the palace buzzed like a disturbed hive. The elders demanded answers. An unmated Omega in heat under the Alpha King's roof was not a private matter. It was political. Dangerous. She must be claimed or sent away. An elder snapped. Her scent will destabilize the pack. Cale rose from his throne, towering, fury coiled tight. She will not be forced, and if she chooses you, another challenged, can you control yourself next time? Cale's gaze flicked to Leora standing at the edge of the hall, small but unbroken. Yes, Leora stepped forward. I won't be claimed, she said clearly, not yet. Gasps rippled. Cale's chest tightened. Disappointment, relief, pride all tangled. Then she stays under my protection. He declared as my guest. Not mate, not Omega. Equal. That night, Leora stood on the balcony, moonlight soft on her skin. Cale joined her, close enough to feel, far enough not to claim. Next time, she said, eyes on the stars, I might choose you. His smile was slow and dangerous. Then I'll lose control gladly, but not yet.